Hi, everybody. John Harris here with you with my pal Billy Smith. It's time for the big game, the game of games of the year, the one that some people have been waiting for all season long. And some people are like, son of a. The Giants are still crying about losing. The Cowboys are kind of whining and making coaching changes and trying to get better right away. Is it going to work? Next year will tell. We don't care right now. We're going to the big game. And there's a couple other sports nuggets we probably should hit first before we get into the discussion about Super Bowl 57. The Kansas City Chiefs play the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Good, Johnny. Good to be back with you.
Awesome. It's great to see you, pal. Hope everything's going on. I see you got the Broad Street Bullies shirt on. I still can't get past the Kate Smith thing. It pisses me off. So I'm
I
still,
hear you, dude. I
semi rooting
agree
for
with
two or
you.
three different teams, but that still bothers me. Even now, they should be able to me, pull back what they said, put her friggin' statue up, and shut up because they've already proven that everything they said was wrong. But corporate money,
Yeah,
it's all under the rug now. We kept everybody happy for the 0.3% of African Americans that follow hockey. You know, and it's understandable, but uh, just trying to cater to the woke generation.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Guess what?
Unfortunately, that's the times we're in now. It's
Oh yeah,
everybody just catering everybody. So I
yeah,
mean, if we have a cause we don't like, I guess we could just
yeah.
boo-hoo, and then they'll
The
support
worst
us, I
part
guess.
is the people that fight the causes usually aren't the people affected. That's the thing,
Right.
and that to me makes us the coma generation. I'm like, shut up, move on. All right, that's enough of that before I get old. But nice shirt. Uh,
Thank you.
I mean, I do hope they improve, and I do like Tortorella, but corporate wise, Comcast is nothing but a bunch of wimps. So
Oh yeah, I wish somebody would buy them,
yeah,
but I do give the team props. They're like at 500, and
yeah,
I
they're
would never
trying,
think they would have been.
which is
I
a
don't
lot
think.
better than people thought.
Yep.
They're 500, they might actually make the playoffs. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're about 8 points out. So I mean, you never
You're
know.
a shot. Yeah, second half of the season, you never know. All right, buddy. So let's touch on some NBA trades. We're only going to do that briefly, obviously. You had the Lakers tried to get a little better by shifting role players to other teams and getting some other role players back. That shouldn't be completely discounted because they're trying to get a little better team around LeBron. They're not going to be a championship caliber team. They might make the play in or even squeak into the playoffs. That's my opinion, but I don't see them doing a lot of damage in the playoffs. What's your takeaway?
Right. And not just that, you got to have the other teams in the West that are making improvements. So I don't think they made enough to put
To
up a fight against
leapfrog,
those other
yeah.
teams. Yeah.
Well, 2 through 13 or 3 through 13 is really just bunched up.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, you're talking, what is it, 10 make it, and the other two or three have playing games or something.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
it is now, I don't know. It's
So
a way for the NBA to make more money. That's all it is.
yeah, I mean, if Anthony Davis stays healthy, they might have a slight
Yeah,
chance.
people were making a big deal out of him not standing up and celebrating Jabroni, LeBron. I wanted to say Jabroni, I guess, so I might as well. Jabron. uh, Celebrating his record, but who knows what the deal is with that. He said it's because we were losing. I could see that. I
Right.
mean, if he's that competitive, we're losing and we're celebrating our individual record. He didn't say it quite that way, but he did say he was ticked off about losing. And they did lose to the number 12 or 13 team in the conference, somebody they should beat. So, and the worst part is that was the afterthought. So I could see if Anthony Davis is telling the truth, I could see why he's, a little upset. I would be. Hey, look, we're losing. Let's do this afterwards, after the
Right.
game. Everybody will stick around still. You can
Yeah.
still make your presentation, And we see that a lot. They stop the game and it could take 15, 20 minutes for you to get back into the game. And I can see that, especially if you're a player. Now you got to snap your finger and get back into the mode, and your body starts shutting down and stuff. So I can see it. Hopefully he is telling the truth, but I at least like what he said. So we can go from there. Other bigger trades, of course, KD going to Kevin Durant going to Phoenix. And you said everybody gave up. Phoenix gave up 4 picks. You made a great point off camera. Phoenix is so good right now. Those 4 first-round picks for the next few years aren't going to be top flight picks. They're going to be anywhere from 25 to 32, I think, right? Or whatever. They're not going to be your superstar picks. I mean, but there are 4 of them. So if you do have some chips to trade away, to me, but and they got rid of players too. So that's probably a pretty good deal for Phoenix. I mean, I know Durant's not playing right now, but should be back sometime after the All-Star break.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I don't think they gave up a whole lot.
No,
4 draft picks sound like a lot, but I don't
it
think
does.
so.
You think 4 first-round draft picks? Holy moly! But Phoenix, especially with Durant, Booker, and Paul, and
They got eight
in the middle, right? Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
that could be a really good team for a long time. So those first-round picks aren't going to be that big a deal, and they're spread out, of course, because they're 4 years in a row. So and Phoenix could make a trade to get 1 or 2 of those back at a time. If they wanted to go higher, so they might even be thinking where we're going to finish isn't going to help us. Maybe we'll trade with a team that doesn't finish so well right before the trade.
Right, so it's a higher pick.
So it's a higher pick. So I applaud the move. I think on their part, you got a really good team already. You can add a Kevin Durant. That might just push you over the limit. Phoenix could get their first championship. They're that good. Lakers got Russell Westbrook's contract off their books, it looks like. And it looks like Utah, in that trade the Lakers made, probably not going to keep him. I think they're going to give him a buyout, make him a free agent.
Buyout also, free agent, yeah.
Yep.
That's the same thing what happened
to. You can't trade him now. But if you buy him out, it'll come off the books, and he's got a big contract. Then he's a free agent and can go wherever he wants. Be kind of funny if he ends up with the New Jersey Nets, because they got nothing now.
Yeah, you never know.
Nets are, but you never know. Sometimes addition by subtraction is great. I thought the best thing to happen to the Nets was Kyrie getting the hell out of there, is them getting rid of him.
Right.
And of course, that was another trade. Kyrie to the Mavericks. If Kyrie Irving plays the way he can play, doesn't cause any drama, he has really improved the Mavericks, because now you can't just focus on Luka Doncic. But I just always think with that guy, the clock is running. He's going to say or do something stupid, and whether it's on or off the court. And
he's not the brightest bulb in the package, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's either not playing, or he's not going to be happy with the direction the Mavericks are going, or he's going to be quote unquote disrespected again. Yeah. You're getting $30 million a year, I think, and you're disrespected. She only gives me $30,000 a year extra to do what I do, which is very little. To play a sport, I'd be happy as a pig in slop, man.
Yeah.
So.
Getting back to Westbrook.
Go back to Westbrook. Yes.
He's the kind of player that's not a role player. He needs to be the man. And ever since he left Oklahoma, it's been all downhill for him, because he's just got to be the man.
He was the guy. He was controlling the ball at the point. Even when they had Harden and KD on that team, I believe, when he was there, he was the guy controlling things. Right. He had the ball. He was the point guard. He was running everything. KD obviously plays very well in that role, because as a supporting role. I mean, look what he did with Golden State. Everybody's like, this could be a problem. How do you get the ball to Steph Curry and KD and Klay Thompson? And they just tore things up.
Right.
I mean, you know, if he'd stayed there, they might have another championship or two. He's able to fill that scorer's role tremendously. But yeah, Westbrook can run an offense, but he's, like you said, he's got to have the ball. He's not a guy you can bring in off the bench or plug him in as a two guard. You can't do that with him. You're right. He needs to have the ball because his shooting percentages aren't great.
Right.
But you let him play, and you're going to watch. He's still going to score points, and his assist numbers are usually pretty good. So yeah,
he's a triple double guy.
Yeah, he is. He is, and I think you could put him on a team that needs that one plug. And you know, as much as I say the Nets, it could be the Nets, because they definitely need somebody to, you know, take charge there. I think, but they may not want to do that right away. They might. We got all this money off the books. Let's revamp. They have a new owner, so does Phoenix, and that's why you saw those two teams, I think, make changes right away.
Right.
Danny Ainge seems to be, within a year, is building something in Utah. Everybody was like, oh, they're going to destroy everything. They're trading all these things away. But he's getting stuff back, and he's getting draft picks.
Yeah.
And it's working already. It's working better.
Yeah. So. And the same thing that when he was in Boston, he did the same thing.
Yep, he did the same thing. Denver still looks good, and they picked up a decent player. They're going to have some room now. Can't remember who it was, but they picked somebody to help out Jokic, which he's a beast.
Yeah, Jokic is nice.
Yeah, he is.
To watch.
Man, he is fun to watch, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Embiid's picked his game up the last couple of months. In Philly, he's done well. Last night they won a tough one. It looked like Dinwiddie, who came over in the trade, looked like he'd hit the tying bucket, and then they were at the buzzer. They reviewed it and said he didn't get it off in time, and the Sixers held on to win by 2. Actually, I think it would have been the winning bucket. Either way, it was just after the shot clock, so he just didn't get it off in time.
And the Sixers, I think, are going to be in a tough spot because I don't think they have the depth or the supporting cast.
Right. I
just have Harden and Embiid just doing it all.
Yeah, yeah. Tobias Harris to me has been overpaid. He has a good game every once in a while, but he's not that third guy that you see a lot of these good teams have.
Right.
And if you think about it, that's really what's missing with the Lakers. And I think they were hoping Westbrook would be that third guy. You have Davis, you have LeBron. After that, they're okay, but they don't have that third player to come out and help. So that makes a big difference. I think Maxey will pick it up a little bit more, but everybody remembers just a couple months ago he was hobbled. You know, and I think he's still getting his legs back. Good player, but I think you're right. I think they need somebody to help take some of the pressure off Embiid and off Harden. I give Harden credit. He's not trying to pump out and score points like he used to. He's doing a lot of pick and roll, a lot of assists. Scores points when he has to. So I give him credit for adapting to a scheme. A lot of people are saying he's lost a step. If you watch him, not really. I think he's bought into something and is giving it everything he's got. And seems to be happy in Philly, where he wasn't in Houston when he left. He wasn't with New Jersey when he left. So I think he's happy with his outlook in Philly. So you got a couple things going on there in the NBA. Going to make it interesting the second half of the season, I think, to watch. Philly's gotten himself up to third behind Milwaukee and Boston. Of course, the Nets were always considered a threat. Now that's over.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the East pans out, at least with those three. And to me, as long as Miami makes the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. I mean, I like Butler and I like their front line. The West, wow. I think
that's somebody from the West is going to win it all.
Yeah, I think and who knew before it was the East that was considered not quite as good as the West, and everybody's bunched together because they're all mediocre. I think the page is starting to flip a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Denver and Phoenix for the Western Conference. And as much as I admit I root for Philly, I still think it'll probably be Milwaukee and Boston. But that's just the way it looks. As long as everybody stays healthy, status quo. But unless you got something else, I guess it's time to switch to the game.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, baby. DraftKings has the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the visiting team and will wear green. Actually, I correct myself. They are the home team and will wear green, and they had the choice. They chose green. A couple things have come out here. Number one, the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, have never had to wear the white jerseys in a postseason game.
Huh.
That's because most of the time they've been home. Right. They played at Arrowhead all in playoffs, pretty much. I think every playoff game since he's been there, they played at home. They get to choose, and they always choose the red. They didn't have the choice this time, so they're playing in white for the first time. That's one of the silly side notes. There's a thing that came out about stats between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and they were almost identical on offense. I think now this is a tough game for me, and you know, Bill, I root for both teams pretty much equally. Because when I was still a kid, which was, when the covered wagons, you couldn't get a replacement cover. If you stopped, you were circled by Indians. That's how old I am, for Christ's sake. Native Americans, by the way. Not people going, oh my God, look at the people in the wagon with the horses. It was more like, oh, me, see, paleface. It's a whole different thing. My thing is that I remember the AFL, the American Football League, and the NFL being two completely separate leagues. And the first 2 years of the Super Bowl, it wasn't even called the Super Bowl. I mean, Green Bay played the Chiefs, beat them. Oakland played the Chiefs, or Oakland played the Packers. Packers beat them in 1 and 2. And then what finally started steering toward the merger, the AFL proving they belonged, was when the Jets figured out a way to beat the Colts in Super Bowl III. And then a lot of people forget Super Bowl IV, Kansas City beat Minnesota. And after that, it was after 3, it was called the Super Bowl. After that, right after that season is when the leagues merged. And they were going to anyway, but it was like, okay, they're equal now, let's do this. So it's going to be the Super Bowl's history, 57 years, 5 years since the Philadelphia Eagles have been back there and won their first one. All kinds of interesting sidelines. People call it the Kelsey Bowl because there's a brother on each team, and both of them ironically play offense. One is the center, one of course is maybe the league's best tight end in years. It's been called the Andy Reid Bowl. Andy Reid coached Philly for 14 seasons and got him to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it under him. Got him to 4 straight conference championship games at one point. So he had some success there as well. And there is a little bit of, it's not really controversy, but there's a little background between Nick Sirianni and Kansas City with the Chiefs, because when Andy Reid took over coaching the Chiefs, he could have kept Nick Sirianni as one of the offensive coaches, and he didn't. He cut him loose. He told him, no, we can't use it. And then he went somewhere and ended up, Doug Peterson.
Indy. He went to Indy.
Yep. And then
and they should have kept.
and they should have kept him. Yeah. in all honesty. Let's face it. People are saying, oh, he doesn't have a great offensive mind and he's not this. You know what? Bill Belichick doesn't know squat about offense. And as much as I think he's a bit of a dweeb, you can't argue with Bill Belichick's results. Mm-hmm. Tom Landry was a defensive coach for years, came up with the quote-unquote umbrella offense. But he figured out a way to manage people and have a good offense for years. So, to me, the guy is a good delegator, a good manager, a good leader, does the time situation well, which Andy Reid does not usually handle timeouts and clock management very well. Mm-hmm. So I like him, and his players like him. Now, I'll say Andy Reid's players like him too, and they do. In some regards, they're similar. Other regards, they're not. Reid's more of an offensive coach and is more involved in forming the offense than Sirianni is now. But he got the right guys to do it. Right. And Andy Reid did that too. So, going to be interesting. It's 1 point. Philadelphia's favored. Bill, are you ready to give your pick? And you want to go into your reasons why?
I'll defer to you.
Oh, you bastard. Well, guy said bastard. Guess I got to check it twice now. Guess I got to check that YouTube box and say, not for kids. I might drop the F-bomb now because I've already got to check off the box. It's so tough for me, Bill. I literally root for both teams.
Yes.
So the emotion part is going to be tough today. I mean, I'm leaning toward putting it on, but not sitting there glued to it.
Right.
Like it's on in the background and I'll do other stuff. And then of course, if I hear, somebody's announcer's voice on Fox get elevated, I'll be looking, oh, okay, it was a nice play. You know what I mean? It's one, I'm not sure. But then again, because at least one, if not both of these teams are involved, that's probably bullshit. I'll probably sit in front of the TV and watch every play.
Yeah, and you can't lose.
Right. So, I mean, I've had people tell me
favorite team, so I mean
it's win-win. I'm like, well, it's also lose-lose. About it. I mean, Philly loses, my heart loses. If Kansas City loses, my heart loses. So you're looking at the glass half full, which people say, well, you need to look at the glass half full. But I'm like, yeah, but what's it full of? It's full of goat piss. And I don't like goat piss. So I don't care what it's half full of. It sucks. But either way, I'll feel good for the team that won. I'll feel bad for the team that lost. Just, I think, more elevated in those feelings than normal. Unless, like when the Chiefs played, what was San Francisco and won. When the Eagles played the Patriots and won. Obviously, that's a little different because I don't feel bad for New England ever if they lose. Never. I never felt bad for Tom Brady if he lost. Though I will admit he's out there more dealing with the public than he ever did as a player. So I guess he's letting his guard down a little bit, but it's funny when you go around and around. I hate the fact you're deferring to me because I know I'm stalling in my brain for time right now, and you know it. Anybody watching is knowing it. So here it is. I am not picking a team to root for, but I got a feeling that Philadelphia is going to win it. I think they're the more complete team. I think their defense, I think the game, even if it's high scoring, I really think the Eagles' defense is a touch better than Kansas City's defense. The key is going to be, and everybody's been saying it, so this is nothing new. The key is going to be in the trenches. Can Philly open up holes to have a running game? If so, it'll set up their passing game. Or can the Chiefs stop the run and then put pressure on Hurts and contain it? He's more of a runner at this stage in his career than Mahomes is, but Mahomes will make up that big run and get you the first down if he needs to. Hurts will run not just for the first down. They'll call quarterback draws and different things. The weird part to me is both quarterbacks are dealing with injuries, but of different types. Mahomes' mobility may be limited a little bit because of the ankle. Hurts' arm is okay, except his timing isn't quite right. You saw him throw a couple balls over and past receivers the last couple games. And that's just because timing and everything. Has he been able to get that back? And both of them have said they're not quite at 100%. Mahomes seems to be getting around okay. And obviously Hurts is good enough to play as well. So that part evens out. One team was number 1 in offense. I think the other was number 2. They both have 13-3 records. When you go down the line, to me, the difference is two things that could play for Kansas City is if Philly can't slow down, you're not going to stop. But if they can't slow down Travis Kelce, that could be a long day. And the other thing for Kansas City is, can they get Pacheco loose? Can they get him running the ball? Or McKinnon? McKinnon's no slouch. He's bigger in the screen game, which Andy Reid loves the screens. If Philly's not ready to stop the screen, which I can't see that they won't be, but you never know, they could have a long day. I think they'll need to watch for that shuffle pass with either Kelce or one of the running backs or even one of the backup tight ends. Then you got so they're all obviously the Chiefs' offense is great too and can strike at any time. But I think Philly's going to figure out a way to run the ball a little bit, and they've got 3-4 guys that run the ball. I mean, you got obviously Gainwell. Gainwell's been taking over second half of games. It's almost like Sanders is running the first half. Gainwell runs a lot more in the second half. Sanders will take it up into the line, then take off. Gainwell is more of the outside guy. He'll go out on the perimeter, and he's got great speed. Hurts is nothing to laugh at. I mean, he let's face it, he can run the ball. They'll call some quarterback draws for him. So to me, for Philly, it's got to be play action. For Kansas City, it's got to be some play action and screen game, short games, and Kelce across the middle, I think. The Chiefs don't have Mecole Hardman. He's out. So that is a weapon that they don't have. Tony's questionable, but I think it's a Super Bowl. If he can play, he's going to play. And he's a threat. So it comes down to me to the trenches. This is the long-winded version of, damn it, of them. I've already got to check the YouTube box, so I don't give a shit. I think it's going to be Philly. Obviously, by saying Philly, I think they're going to beat the spread. I think it could be high scoring. I think it could be similar, even though the defenses are pretty good. Both these offenses are great. And if one starts to take a lead, the other one's going to be bombing away or figuring out ways. That's where the Chiefs have an advantage. But if Philly has a lead, their defense may be good enough to hang on. Right. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 31-28, 35-31. But I think it's going to be Philly. I think they're going to play a little better defense. This is a game where I think the difference would be somebody like Tyreek Hill to keep Philadelphia on their toes. Right. And the Chiefs don't have that. Now, Tony, if he's healthy, I think they were looking at him to fill part of that role. And if he's healthy, he could have that big game. But the Eagles have a great secondary, which lets them bring all these guys from the defensive line. The Chiefs' secondary is not quite as good. They got a couple good guys, but only one or two. Eagles are good across the board. I think the Phillies are a more balanced team. I think they're going to win, which also means I think they're going to cover the spread.
Fair enough.
I'm done with the game pick.
And
we got under and stuff like that, but
I agree with you 100%. I mean, both teams are pretty equal.
Yeah, bastard.
Both are pretty equal.
Yeah.
It comes down to me is experience. And that's where Mahomes has quite a bit more experience than Hurts does at quarterback. Even though Hurts can be more dynamic.
Yes.
But I think it's going to come down to if he, throws a early pick or something that could rattle him. So this is going to be fun. Just to also the reason why I'm making this pick also is I have quite a few friends.
You're using friends in quotation marks. I can hear it in your voice.
I can't stand them on Facebook. I can't stand them on Facebook. EAGLES.
Yes.
Boo. Maybe because I'm jealous. I guess that could be it. But this would be a ball buster.
One of your favorite teams is in the same division too, and they've been like a doormat the last few years, and that doesn't help either.
That doesn't help exactly. So just for fun and just so we're a little different, I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Woo!
And it will be 31-24.
31-20?
24. 31-24.
31-24. Yeah, you cut out for a second. 31-24. That could happen. Could be the same score the other way around too. That I will say that this seems to be one of the most evenly matched Super Bowls in quite some time, even on paper. I mean, yeah, we've had a couple upsets, but when you look ahead of the game, I mean, a 1-point difference, that's nothing. I mean, that's literally almost nothing. And I agree that they're very similar. The only thing I will say, it hasn't necessarily happened yet, but let's face it, the first Super Bowl Mahomes won was his first one. So it has to start somewhere. If you look at it, the Philly faithful could look at that. Hurts has played in big games, obviously a couple playoff wins this season. In college, but then your argument kicks in. They removed him in college in Alabama in the national championship game and brought in Tua, who brought him from behind to win. So, but then he went to Oklahoma and won the Heisman and won some big games with them, but not the national championship. So your point can be argued, but it also can be supported. I mean, he hasn't been in the NFL except for this season's playoff games. And last season had a playoff game and they couldn't win it. So probably just a little over 500 there. And the biggest game he had in college, he didn't win and had to be pulled out. So your point can be taken either way with experience. And when the experience has come up, has he done well? It's 50-50 really right about now. Maybe more on the edge to no. You can look at that if you're a Philly fan and say, well, that just means he's got something to prove. And he has proved and improved all season long. And to me, his improvement from last year to this year is phenomenal, which tells you how much work he's put in.
Yeah, no, I give him a lot of credit.
I give him a lot of credit.
I think he's going to be phenomenal.
I think he is. I think you're right.
Career, he's going to have a really good.
Once he stays healthy, and he doesn't get overused like RG3 did, which part of that, from what I understand, was RG3's fault because he didn't want to sit out anymore. Originally, they wanted him to sit out at least another half season to make sure his legs were 100%. He was chomping at the bit to get back in there, and it was too soon. And then he's never really, he never did recover. And we don't know if he would have recovered, but he would have had a better chance. He was dynamic, and you hope that the next set of coaches for the next player, like in this case, Hurts, you've got Mahomes, Justin Fields is being wasted in Chicago.
Yeah.
You got Murray, but I'm mixed on Murray. From reports of anything from his work ethic to supposedly selfishness, things like that.
Jackson in Baltimore.
Yeah. And yeah, Jackson, that's the guy I worry about. He may have made the right call sitting out all those games. How far are we going to go if I play? Well, they didn't have a great defense this season. If they shore up a little bit, he's going to play in Baltimore this season coming. I mean, they're going to franchise tag him, and he'll be in Baltimore again. Representing himself, I'm sure he's got people that help him. But if they don't do another deal in the offseason, he'll be franchise tagged at some point, and he'll be in Baltimore. Yeah. You got to hope he's healthy.
What's it like, $35-40 million a year?
Yeah, you get the average of the top 5 quarterbacks if you're franchise tagged. I mean, and is he one of the top 5 quarterbacks? He's close. He's close. I mean, right now you're looking at Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert. I mean, and
Rodgers. I mean, not that Rodgers.
Rodgers is still probably in the top 5.
Yeah,
right. So he's going to get the average of what those guys get. And he's got a couple of big contracts there. Rodgers' contract is huge.
Kirk Cousins
is huge.
Yeah.
But yet you got Hurts is still on his rookie contract. Herbert's still on his rookie contract. Murray's got a huge contract. So the average will you're probably right. It's probably going to be about 30. I don't think that's anything to sneeze at. He's, one season, he's let's face it, if he wanted to live fiscally responsible, he's already made enough to.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd be definitely in the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks. And that's not counting if Russell Wilson comes back to prominence under Sean Payton. If Trevor Lawrence improves a little bit more, like he did this past season under Doug Peterson. So, I mean, there's guys out there quarterback-wise that are going to be pretty good. So who knows? But you're right. He's got a chance to make some money there and play well. But Baltimore's got to shore up their defense and get some people back healthy. You're right. I could see either team winning this game. I hope it is the good game that everybody expects it to be. And the only thing I really hope, well, you always hope no injuries. But the only thing I really hope is there's been a lot of controversy about officials this season and in the postseason. And I really hope calls don't affect the outcome. Yeah. Especially one call toward the end or one missed call. You really hope that doesn't affect the outcome of the game. Let the players decide it. I mean, you got a hold and it's a bad one, you call it. You got a PI either way, and it's obvious, you call it. But let's don't throw a million flags, but let's don't ignore the obvious calls.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. The officiating's got to be better. And Goodell is backing the official saying, I don't
think he has a whole lot of choice.
Yeah.
That's just the company line they've got to give. I agree with the argument that officials made years ago, and even some players and coaches made it, is make the officials full-time. When you think about it, a third of a calendar year, they're doing games, whether for the NFL, whether it's preseason, whether it's regular season, postseason. It's a 17-week season now, 2 weeks in the preseason. A lot of them do scrimmages with the teams when they're doing their training camps. And of course, you got the postseason. You're close to 23, 24 weeks anyway of actual officiating kinds of things. I think they should make them full-time and run them through their paces. Things like rule changes, film critique. Here's what was wrong, here's what wasn't. They do it with players all the time. Coaches do it with players after every game. Let's go see what we did. What did we do wrong? And they point it out to each other. I mean, I think they should. That would be one possible remedy. The other is you just got to watch officials and see who's good and who's bad.
Yeah.
Because unlike baseball and basketball in the NBA and Major League Baseball, I don't think there's a union for the officials. So if you have one that
I don't think so. Yeah.
You can drop him. I remember one years ago going from referee, they made him a linesman because he was not a good referee, and he'd been a ref for quite a few years. You can move them, you can get rid of them. Or if it's an older one, you can say, listen, here's your option. Same as any job. You can either retire or we're going to have to let you go. And it's probably
I don't want to be age discriminatory, but it's a young man's game, and you got to be fit.
You got to be fit. You got to be able to
I've
run.
seen so many guys, the back judges get in the way of
get knocked over, get hurt.
It's
and it affects the play as well. And sometimes, Bill, you watch a game and you go, I'm thousands of miles away watching it on a TV. You're 5 feet away. How do you miss that?
Right.
But we've also both umpired and refereed, and we know that it's not an easy job. It is open to interpretation and judgment. Somebody's going to be mad no matter what call you make or don't make. And sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you can't get the best angle. Right. I think the best angle thing plays into a lot of the catches and non-catches that get overturned that we see. Plus the old, what is a catch? I mean, that's, as much as I was rooting for the Eagles, the Devontae Smith catch was not a catch under these rules. But years ago, it would have been a catch because he had possession long enough before he hit the ground. So it's a two-way street. But under today's rules, that wasn't a catch. And it was huge playing the game.
I think the NFL needs to get a grip and I know you get the 2 challenges, but I don't think that's enough. Or you just have an official in the booth that buzzes down to the official and says, no, that's not a complete pass.
Well, the other part too is if your challenge is right, you shouldn't lose it.
Right.
You should be able to carry it over. You get 2.5. Well, if I didn't lose, the challenge, then I still have 2 in the second half,
Yeah, so they're still getting reprimanded because the officials made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting punished because the officials screwed up. And my thing is, even if they say we don't have enough evidence to overturn the call, you kind of are at least admitting it was something we had to look at.
Yeah.
Why is the coach getting, why is the team getting dinged or challenged for something that was obviously too close to call? All right, you made a decision, but maybe not take that challenge away, and if you want to go back to, don't throw a frivolous flag, you can say if this is just somebody trying to throw a challenge for challenge sake, then give them a 5-yard delay of game penalty. And that way, a coach is going to only use the challenge when he knows it's going to help him.
Right.
But he's also, if it helps him, he's not going to get dinged and lose it. If it's too close to call, you don't throw the flag, you leave it alone. And you say, okay, it was too close to call. We couldn't make a decision either way. The play stands, but the team does not lose their challenge. Right. So, I mean, it's a tough deal. There was a call the Chiefs had when I think it was Scanlon caught a ball, 4th and something, I don't know, 4th and 8 or whatever, catches about a 7-yard pass, is being tackled and stretches the ball out like they do for the end zone. They give him the first down. Of course, then he pulls the ball back. I'm a Chiefs fan. Under the rules, that should not have counted as a first down, because it's not the same as the touchdown. The play doesn't end when you get the first down. Touchdown, as soon as it breaks the play, play's over, touchdown. Then you fumble it or you go backwards, it doesn't matter. You broke the play. For the first down, not the same, because they have to take in consideration you could break a tackle and run. A lot of guys have broken tackles and run backwards and run their way out of a first down. You get tackled behind the line. This is what should have happened with that call. He got there, but he also voluntarily pulled it back. It's not the same as going for a touchdown. Chiefs got the first down, went on to drive, and I know they scored. I can't remember if it was a field goal or a touchdown. I think it was a touchdown. Big point in the game against Cincinnati, and that's in the championship game.
Right.
Same as the Smith catch in the championship game. The only difference is the Eagles did figure out a way to run away with that game, and that was because of the quarterback injuries. But the Chiefs went down and won a very close game. That call was a big call in that game. I did have one problem, and I tried to look at it objectively, and I still think I did. And lately I have heard a couple people finally, the talking heads agree with it, is they were like, well, it's a shame we didn't see San Francisco play with their good quarterbacks. Well, yeah, because Philly's defense cleanly knocked them out.
Right.
That's on San Francisco. That's not Philadelphia's fault. You shouldn't take away from whoever was in that position. They rushed the passer and legitimately and cleanly hit the quarterbacks and knocked them out. One of them causing a fumble.
Right.
With Brock Purdy. And it was actually Hassan Reddick both times, but he hit him clean. They didn't stop him. Is that Philadelphia's fault that San Francisco didn't stop them? It's not bad luck. They didn't cheat. And it wasn't, oh, well, the Eagles were lucky the quarterbacks were knocked down. The Eagles knocked them out. Philly knocked the quarterback out. I never heard such a strong argument before to try to derail something like that. I mean, that was just, finally the last couple of days I did hear somebody say, well, yeah, it's because Philly knocked them out. It wasn't luck. It wasn't San Francisco had bad luck. They had bad blocking.
Yeah.
Really? So, but that goes the other way too. I mean, it goes a two-way street.
I'd like to see the NFL take something out of the college game, because, like on first down, I like the idea of stop the clock on first down, and then that gives you a chance. And with the clock stopped, that gives you a chance to look at a play to see if it needs to be reviewed or overturned.
Right, and maybe more. They're starting to do it, but maybe take more initiative in that skybox they talk about, or the quick overturn of a decision, rather than go through the whole replay thing. Now, some of them you are going to need to see all that stuff, and you stop, like you said, you stop it. But and I do like that. The college game doesn't seem to be any longer than an NFL game because of that.
Right.
My thing is too, but I know why they do it, but stopping the clock for every incomplete pass, no matter what the time is on the clock, stopping the clock for that, I don't know if you necessarily need to do that. Maybe not start the play clock right away, but the game clock, why does it stop? It just drags the game out longer.
Right.
But of course, the NFL wants the game to drag out longer for commercial breaks. Sure. If we're on an extra 15 or 20 minutes, that's an extra 5 to 8 minutes of commercials we get, and more money. So, but to me, it kind of drags the game out. Until I was always under the idea of until the last 5 minutes of a half, then stop the clock for incomplete passes, stop the clock for first down, like you said. They used to stop it for quarterback sacks. I think now they do briefly, just to make sure the quarterback stands up. If he stands up, then they start the clock again on a sack, not a hit, but a sack. I think you're right. I like that college setup. And like you said, it doesn't. Now, what it will do too, and this is probably another good thing to make your argument stronger, is it could improve how many last minute game winning drives you could have. You get in that 2 minutes, you get a first down. You don't necessarily have to see the ball getting spiked.
Right.
You can run up and run a play. If you're smart and you got 2 plays called in your head, you complete a pass, run up the line of scrimmage, and the clock is stopped. Let's run up there, be ready for when the ref says okay, and let's run the play.
Yep.
And you do see that in college a lot. And I think that NFL's always talking about getting more offense. I think that's a way to get some more offense.
Right.
But we're here, they're there.
It gives us something to bitch about.
That's right. That's right. And it keeps interest in the NFL. They should just hire us and get it over with. We'd fix the league in 2 weeks. The next season would be great. And that's it. We're not listening to any other fans. You can email us all you want, but screw you. We're fixing it. It's done. There you go. You don't like us? Put in 2 new fans next year. We don't care. We've done our job. For at least 1 year, it was the game we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, you can look at all the side bets now, Bill. Who's going to win the coin flip is one. That's always. What number is going to be the combined last digit number at the end of a quarter? For instance, is it going to be 13 to 10? So the last number is a 3. Is it going to be 7-0? Is the last number a 7? Yeah, you can bet on those things. I was telling you there's a bet that will Jason Kelce have more offensive snaps. Will he snap the ball more times than his brother Travis gets yards? I don't think so. I think you're right. We've both talked about this. I don't think so. If Travis gets 65 yards or more, it means and he'll beat Jason because 60 snaps would be tremendous for any team.
So, yeah, for anything. The average is probably like 40 to 45 snaps a game. So.
Yeah, exactly. You got one bet I saw that was so stupid. You can bet on anything, anytime. But with the Super Bowl, those bets go really outlandish. One is, will Tom Cruise parachute onto the field in Arizona before the game? Another one is, how long will the national anthem take for Chris Stapleton to sing? Then you saw one, is it what color will he
mostly wear?
Will he wear red? Will he wear green? Will he stay neutral? Then you got will Rihanna, who's doing the halftime show, have a wardrobe malfunction? And of course, the specific malfunction that
hope so.
Yeah, exactly. Was a butt cheek, not necessarily a top malfunction. There are all kinds of bets out there for all kinds of things. You can look it up and make bets yourself on DraftKings. Spend all those, they call them prop bets, which are bets that aren't really an effect of the game. But then you've got other bets like who will have the most rushing yards? What team will have the most rushing yards? Who's going to score the first touchdown? What's the score? Who's going to make the first score of the game? What team will score first? You can bet basically on anything you want to bet on. And the odds, who knows? It all depends on the bet. It'll tell you the odds. You might bet 100 to win 1,000 on something, and you could get lucky.
And you could get something like if the Sixers play, they could say, well, Embiid score more points than the Eagles.
They've got that right. Players, and you got no idea. And of course, especially something like that, guy tweaks an ankle or last minute it sits out. You're like, son of a. So you just never know. It's a bad beat, as they say. So yeah, you could bet on anything. So have fun today, folks. That's what we're saying is if you want to bet on stuff, okay. If you don't, that's okay too. Either way, it should be a fun day if you're going to a Super Bowl party. Obviously there'll be drinks and food. As we always like to say, well, we don't really like to say it, but we kind of have to. I always say it like this: drink responsibly. We need the most viewers and listeners we can get.
There you go.
Don't do anything stupid. We need your number. But seriously, we don't have anybody hurt, even in other vehicles that, could be involved. Please be careful. Don't drink in excess. Drink responsibly, all those things. But have a great time.
Yeah.
With friends, with your pals, or if you go somewhere, you go to a sports bar or whatever, it should be a great game. I will be probably one of the few people that's going to walk around with high blood pressure and everything else because, like I said, I equally root for both teams. So it's going to be a pretty rough game to watch. I know what I have done in the past when there's two teams I don't like or two teams that do, is whichever one gets screwed by the officials first on a really bad call, I end up rooting, or their quarterback gets hit late, something egregious, I start rooting for that team because I think they're getting screwed by the system. To me now, they're the underdog. No matter what happens the rest of the day, that's the team I'm rooting for. That could happen today, but chances are it won't. Yeah. Because it's, I'll probably flip. If I start rooting, I'll flip flop more times than a pair of bad sandals.
And if you're wondering when I'm MIA tomorrow on Facebook, you'll know why.
Oh, I'll know that Fly Eagles Fly is being played everywhere.
And I will not be on Facebook.
And you're walking around with friggin' headphones and la 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 la. Fly Eagles, kiss my ass, la 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 la. Last night at the bowling alley, it was funny. There were a couple Eagle fans there. On my DJ stand, I had a banner from both teams up there. Because I have those other banners that you've seen. So I had them on my DJ stand. Pretty good crowd. Like I said, some of them had left, but about half were still there. And they asked for the Chiefs have a hype song, Red Kingdom, it's called. They asked for that. Well, then the Eagles guys came over and wanted me to look up Fly Eagles Fly. And I'm like, I got to do it, So it came close. There was some shouting back and forth for a couple minutes. The Eagles guys would have got outnumbered. There were only 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
But, Eagles fans, they don't back down. They were proud. A couple of them sang their songs, and then at the end of their songs, went into Fly Eagles Fly right afterwards. I thought that is funny. And to love you. Fly Eagles Fly. And they're doing the thing with the It was funny. Everybody had a good time. There were a couple people had a few too many drinks and were ready to, and I was just like, okay, guys, no more football the rest of the night. We only got about an hour and a half to go. No more football. If you guys start singing Fly Eagles Fly, I'm shutting your mic off at the end of the songs. I said, if you guys ask for Red Kingdom, it's not going to happen anymore. We've done it a couple times, guys. You can root for your team. Say go whoever at the end of your song if you want, but that's it. Otherwise, I'm shutting your mics off because we need you guys to enjoy the game tomorrow, not be in jail.
Yeah.
Everybody was like,
Did you tell them you like both teams? Did you go in?
Yeah. And that's why, because people were like, why would you play that? And I told a couple people, like, how can you be an Eagles fan? And then I explained it. I was like, hey, when I was a kid, there were 2 leagues. I grew up near Philly, and I rooted for the Chiefs ever since I was a kid. Yeah. I've had it. I've had both teams forever. And a couple people know I have Chief jerseys, but I've worn my Eagles hat in there. So Of course, nobody said anything about the Eagles till it was the Super Bowl. Other than that, nobody cared till then. So, but yeah, I have, yeah. But they're not like New England fans who will punch you in the face. I had guys try to punch me in the face in New England when the Eagles played the Chiefs and the Eagles played the Patriots and I was living there.
Right. Yeah.
During the season, even people came up to me and were like, I go into a sports bar. It took an off-duty cop who was there, who came over, and I was still in police work, but I had my badge in my wallet. I didn't even have time to get it out. And another off-duty Boston PD, and you don't all know each other because there's so many of them.
Right.
But he came over and took his badge out, and he says, "Hey, back the fuck off." I'm definitely got to check that YouTube box now. But that was a quote, and he said it. Guy can root for whoever he wants. And then he did add a line, no matter how poor his taste is. He's got that right. I said, now him I got to give it to. He did it the right way. He got me a dig, and then and he turned around and he says, I got to give you credit, man. You got balls wearing that shit in here. He says, I'd have to back you up just for that. He said, I can't back your team. I said, yeah, you live here. I understand. I lived there for all my life. But they were literally going to just because I wasn't wearing the right. So when anybody says this team's got bad fans, yep, that team had. I'll add New England to it in a friggin' heartbeat. And I love the Boston area. I just don't like that.
Right.
So, but it is what it is. Would I want to go to Vegas and root against the Raiders? Probably not, but not as much as I would have years ago if they were in Oakland.
Right.
So you do what you got to do. All right, buddy. Unless we got something else, we'll see
we got to thank our friend Dennis again.
Yes, we do, and we do want to thank Dennis and Grawley, my buddy. And he is from where? He is from Vineland Realty Corporation in Vineland, New Jersey, 634 East Landis Avenue, Bill, in Vineland, New Jersey, 856-690-9482. 9482 is his number. Go in and see Dennis, Helen, and the crew. Let them know that you were sent by us from the cheap seats or Public John. Dennis will know. You need a residential or business property need. You want to sell something. You want to rent something out. You need to rent a place for yourself. Let Dennis and that crew know. Anywhere in South Jersey, they can help you out. And if they can't, they will find a resource that can. It's Vineland Realty Corporation, 634 East Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey, 856-690-9482. Make sure you go see those guys. They've been great to us, great to the show, and they're great to that South Jersey area, man. So you get a chance, go in and see Dennis, Helen, the rest of the gang, and tell them we sent you. And you never know, you might get a little coffee, soda, tea. Dennis is very hospitable. He's a good guy. I don't care what others say about him. But make sure you check Dennis and that crew out. They're great folks. That's Vineland Realty Corporation. Thanks, Bill, for all that. It's been a long football season. We've had ups and downs on and off the field, as they say, on and off the camera. Hopefully everything's going as well as it can at year end. I know it's going to be a long haul. We're going to continue to put the GoFundMe page website up there today on everything. So please help out these folks. And we thank you for the support that you've given Bill and his family during these last couple months. And hopefully it can continue. And Bill's done that for others as well. So please help them out. The explanation of why and what for will be is on that link, is on that GoFundMe page and that link. So we don't want to go into all that right now. But click on the link, go check it out, and you'll see what we're talking about. next week, Bill, we can do a quick recap of the game, but it's almost time for our baseball extravaganza. A lot of players moved around in the MLB. We might still have a couple more before it's over. You never know. But I think all the big names are gone. We can discuss trades, free agency, standings, the whole deal. That'll be in a couple of weeks. Next week, I'm sure we will spend most of our time recapping today's events. Who won the biggest prop bet will be important. That kind of thing. Why can't I get a package of Mrs. Kelsey's cookies? What the heck? That was a cool moment because they didn't know it was coming, and they had her. They knew she might be coming out. I think it was on NFL Network. Oh yeah, it was with Michael Irvin. There's another whole thing with Michael Irvin, being kicked off coverage, and now it looks like maybe he shouldn't have been. But we'll see. Hopefully, some more info will come out about that as well. Other than that, I guess we're just about as ready to go as we can be. It'll be game time in about 6 or 7 hours, I think.
Yeah.
And we'll be ready to go, folks. Kansas City, Philadelphia Eagles. Bill's taking the Chiefs. One last pick. I'm taking the Eagles. It's a point spread of 1. So basically, it's almost a pick 'em. It's 1.5. I apologize. It is 1.5. So if the Eagles or the Chiefs win 31-30, it could be a bad beat, buddy.
And we both took the over at 51 too.
Yes, that is true. We both took the over under at 51. We both think there'll be more than 51 total points scored. I'm surprised at that number, but I think they're figuring that Philadelphia and Kansas City's defenses might be a little better than they thought. I don't see it. The only way I'd see it is if one holds the other better than I thought. Right. Like if it's a 31-10 game, you might win your over under bet. But I don't see that happening with these two offenses. Even though they have great defenses, I think it could be that 31-30 game, or 33-30 or something like that. 35-31, something. But that's it. I'm taking Philly. Bill's taking the Chiefs and the spread. I got a lot of that the last few weeks, buddy. Is it this? Will we be doing this next week, or will we be doing? That's the bet, Bill.
There you go.
There we go. Maybe that's why I'll have to root for one team over the other. Just pride. I need to win. I need to win. Competitive spirit. I want to see if I can fly away next week, or is Bill going to chop me off?
Chop his way.
He's going to chop his way through. So thank you guys for tuning in all NFL season for all these weeks. Sports show obviously will continue here from the cheap seats. We are from the cheapest possible seats you can get for Super Bowl Sunday, our houses. And hopefully you are, or you're somewhere that it's considered the cheap seats, but the best view of the game. Have a great time, everybody. Billy, thank you for everything. Thank you for being as available as you could be under the circumstances. You've went above and beyond as far as I'm concerned.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, anytime. Thank you. And thanks to Dennis and Graldi and everybody at Vineland Realty Corporation. We will be back with a recap next week. And then fairly soon after that, either the next week or maybe even the same week, we'll be back with our baseball extravaganza. It's getting ready to get started in the MLB, folks, and of course the NBA. It'll be playoff time before we know it, and we're going to have to care. And we're going to care. And March Madness is coming.
Yeah.
You could change the name of it because by the time the thing is done, it ends up in April. But it's NCAA college basketball, men's and women's. Great women's game on today if you do get a chance. Probably about an hour or so. Number 1 takes on number 3 in the college basketball standings. When South Carolina will take on LSU. Big game there today. I think 12:30 your time, Bill. Women's game's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really is, folks. You get a chance to watch, a pretty decent college or WNBA game, and you have time. put it on. It's very entertaining. It's very fun to watch. To me, it's a faster paced game than the men's game a lot of times. And they're not always going for threes. It's a little more old school. There are some 3-point shooters, but most teams in the women's version still try to play some old school, get it down low, get the high post going, a little pick and roll action. It's a lot of fun to watch. I really do like watching women's basketball. So you get a chance to watch that, go ahead. I would say go for it. But number 1 plays number 3 at about 12:30 Eastern, I believe. If you want to put something on in the background while you're getting your food ready for the party, it's probably a pretty good thing to have on. But for my pal Billy Smith, Bill, thanks for a great NFL season. We'll recap it next week. We were good in our playoff picks. We were and we did okay. We didn't do as good as last year, but we did okay. You wouldn't have lost money hanging with us, that's for sure. Especially
and you kicked my butt, so
yeah.
Kudos to you.
Thanks. Well, it happened. Things happen. Over under saved us both, I think, a lot. A lot of times we had pretty good records on over under, so that was a prop to you for getting us to start to do that. For my pal Billy Smith, for Dennis and Graldy, for all those folks that watch us, and for all you folks watching and listening on podcasts and YouTube and Facebook, we thank you guys. Have a great day. Enjoy the big game, everybody. Super Bowl 57 is just a few hours away. Have a great day. We will talk to you soon.
Yeah.